Good morning, class. For today's history lesson, we'll be talking about 3 different pandemics and comparing them to today's new pandemic, COVID-19, seeing how different they were and how dangerous they were compared to today's COVID-19 pandemic. But first, let's start off with attendance. Margie?
Here.
Ella?
Hi, teacher.
Alright, now with that out of the way, let's start with the first plague that we'll be talking about, Justinian's plague. During the reign of Justinian I, there was an outbreak of a plague that lasted from 541 CE to 750 CE, claiming lives of millions. The plague arrived in Constantinople in 542 CE and continued to sweep the Mediterranean for another 225 years. The origin of this plague was in Egypt, and according to Wendy Ornt, an anthropologist with an interest in pandemics, said that it spread in 2 directions. Transmission of this plague wasn't very different from the Black Plague. Black rats, or scientifically called Rattus rattus, were the means of its transmission. And where on North Africa, its main source of grain for the empire had them travel on grain ships or grain carts on their way to Constantinople.
Ooh.
Symptoms of this plague were no joke. People suffered from delusions, nightmares, fevers, and swelling in the groins, armpits, and even behind their ears. Some went into comas while others became highly delusional, leaving some to suffer days before death or die immediately after receiving the symptoms. Scary, right? Although there was treatment, it wasn't very reliable. People had 2 ways to get treatment, either treatment at home or medical personnel. Knowledge for treatment of this plague was very limited, so people resorted to using a mixture of tree resin, flowers, and human feces, applying it to an open wound. Pretty bizarre, but don't go so hard on me. Home remedies often consisted of cold baths, powder blessed by saints, magic amulets and rings, and various drugs. The effects this plague laid onto the Byzantine Empire were destructive ones. Due to the plague weakening the empire, the Lombards, a Germanic tribe, successfully invaded northern Italy. The large decrease in population also led to its forced inability to defend against outside forces. The large decrease also affected the economy, with trade being disrupted. Sadly enough, with the fewer farmers and the near collapse of the economic system, Justinian I still demanded the same amount of taxes. At this point, it seemed like the Byzantine Empire were doomed. Overall, there were nearly 5,000 deaths a day. 20 to 40% would eventually perish. An estimated 25% of the population died, ranging from 25 to 50 million people. And the entire plague was blamed onto Justinian I for either being devil or God's punishment for his evil ways. Justinian's plague affected nearly half the population of Europe.
Wow, that's so cool.
Moving on to smallpox. There are 2 forms of smallpox, variola minor and variola major. Today we'll be focusing on variola major since it has a higher mortality rate at 30% and is more common than variola minor.
Okay.
Smallpox is said to date back from the Egyptian Empire around the 3rd century BCE, with evidence of smallpox-like rashes found on 3 mummies. The origin of this disease is unknown according to the CDC, but World Health Organization says the disease originated over 3,000 years ago in either China or India. Anyways, spread of this disease is simple, either person-to-person contact or saliva droplets from the infected person's breath. The incubation of this disease is a period of 7 to 17 days after exposure to it and becomes infectious once symptoms start to show. And after 2 or 3 days, a distinct rash appears. You're hopefully thinking that symptoms don't get any worse than rashes or sores. The full list of symptoms can include flu-like fevers, full body aching, high fevers, mouth sores that could spread to the throat, and blindness that can occur when rashes reach the eye. So they do get worse, but that's irrelevant, because treatment must be a lot better than Justinian's plague, right? Well, yeah, because we are more advanced than back then. We have a vaccine to help you protect you from it entirely, and we have antiviral drugs that can help treat it or keep it from getting worse. But sadly, there is no effective treatment for the disease, and once you've developed the rash, the vaccine cannot protect you. An epidemic does not bring good fortune, especially for many countries. In the 6th century, there was increased trade between China and Korea, but smallpox was introduced in Japan. In the 7th century, Arab expansion spread smallpox into northern Spain, Africa, and Portugal. And in the 11th century, crusades, medieval expeditions further spread smallpox into Europe. Though the global eradication of smallpox was certified on December 1979, making it one of the most successful collaborative public health initiatives in history. Responsible for 300 to 500 million deaths, smallpox had no chance of good outcome.
Wow, so cool.
On to our last disease, HIV, or human immunodeficiency virus, is a virus that attacks the immune system, weakening it and giving it trouble fighting off other diseases. It infects and destroys white blood cells called CD4 plus cells, and if too many are destroyed, the body cannot defend itself against disease in general. If left untreated, the disease will move on to its last stage, AIDS, or acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. The incubation of this disease is 1 to 4 weeks, with transmission being from infected blood, semen, or vaginal fluids, or from mother to baby. The good thing about this virus is that it doesn't do so good outside the body, so casual touching is safe.
I bought. Yeah, me too.
Don't worry guys, we're almost done, just hold on. Symptoms of HIV may include fever, headache, muscle aches, joint pain, and skin rash, the norm. These symptoms may appear after a few days or even up to weeks once the person was infected. Oddly enough, once early symptoms start to appear, they may disappear and may not appear for many years, and then reappear all of a sudden and remain. But don't worry, because there is treatment for this disease. The treatment consists of a combination of medicines called ART, antiretroviral therapy, that reduces the amount that the virus multiplies.
Okay.
Relax, guys. Originated from a chimpanzee in West Africa, after humans came in contact with its blood after hunting, this disease has certainly taken a toll on many countries, especially developing countries. In total, there are more than 37.9 million people living with HIV worldwide, and it being most severe in South Africa, with infecting 1.7 million people, and an estimated 8.1 million people were unaware of their status. It has left millions of children orphaned and devastated many individuals, families, and communities.
This is boring.
I know it's boring, just bear with me for a minute. We still need to compare them with COVID-19.
Fine.
Okay, good. To me personally, I think I'd say that the 3 pandemics we just talked about are way more dangerous than COVID-19 today. Wouldn't you guys agree with me?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, even if there are 6 million cases of COVID-19 today, it really only affects older people and people with underlying conditions. And already 2.5 million people have recovered. So guys like you, who are young and healthy, are safe. Besides, even if you were to come sick with it, you'd only experience mild symptoms like tiredness, dry coughs, and fevers. And you'd need no special treatment to recover.
Yeah, I get it. Can we go outside already?
You guys can go outside once the bell rings.
Yay, recess!
2. Ooh.
Ooh.
Again.